can we be financially stable, especially in the course of, making changes?
Financial stability has to do with, thank you very much for asking that question, because it's been said that the number one cause of divorce in North America is financial problems. Many people think it's, sex or maybe some other family, extended family. The number one cause of divorce in the church and out the whole world is financial problems. Now, it has been also said that finance is 80% habit. The outcome of your financial life is 80% an issue of habit. So how the habits you have, habits I have probably picked up from my parents, probably picked up from my environment. There are some people who are given to spending. So if they make $5, they have to spend $10 from the $5, so they'll end up with a -5. So how do you become financially stable? I'll go back to the point I made, and this has to do with I call it the fundamental principle of life. If you don't know where you're going, you won't know when you get there. If you don't set goals in life, you will not arrive at the destination.
Yeah.
Getting a GPS into the car is no guarantee that you get into your destination. You have to set.
Absolutely right.
You have to set a target on your GPS and command it to take you to the place. And that is true for finances. Where do I want to be at in the next 5 years? In my financial life, what are the things that once I start pondering about this, I get to goal setting. Then the next thing is to come and look at my life and see what are the things that are draining my finances. Usually it's either the things that are taking off from what we have, or that we have what I'll call an income problem. So usually there are these two sides to the equation. And I've dealt with, talking about finances, I've been blessed to deal with quite a few folks whom, by the grace of God, I've seen God transform their lives just in learning these basic principles, listening to me talk about them time and again. I've seen a fellow who was an avid spender. He could buy a set of TVs for a one-bedroom house. But after a few years, he called me and said, "You know what, Calypse, I have saved tens of thousands. I'm so grateful to God for you." And I say it humbly because it's really his work. He did it, not me, of course. And thank God for the strength in him. But if we have these habits that take away, these habits that are contrary, that do not help us to attain a certain desired height, we will never get there. And this starts, first of all, with identifying where we want to go. And that is goal setting. Identifying a vision, financial dream. So once we identify it, we make sure we identify the things that are draining off of our finances. To some people, it's just impulsive buying. They have to buy once they see something new, they have to buy it. It may entail, if we come to the practical steps, it may entail going out. If you're stepping out to the shop, you step out with cash, not using credit card. It may entail having a friend who's an accountability partner. And all these things, we incorporate them in life in order to keep us stable, to attain, number one, the goal that has been set. Again, if there is no goal that is set, you won't even get there, or you won't know when you get there because you didn't set a goal in the first place.
Yeah, and that is, I just feel, I'm feeling guilty now. You know why? Because I always have this perception that this life is once. It's good to just enjoy it, right? Where you need to spend, you spend. And recently, I remember telling a friend that I don't know when Jesus is going to come. Let me enjoy this morning now. But then you just drew my attention to the need to save. Usually I
Yes.
save, but I think with this, I'm going to be saving more. I'm going to have first set my goals. I think that is where it should come from, my
Mm-hmm.
financial goal, and then
Yes.
start, working
Saving.
towards
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. And
Yeah.
before you go, I want you to please, if there is any advice you have for those that also have this mentality of let's enjoy life, let's enjoy it, because it's also a way of, if you don't caution yourself, if you don't have a good habits, if you don't have the right attitude, the character we just talked about, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what, change is going to knock you off.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
what advice do you have
I
for
think
those kind of people before we draw the curtain?
if we close off, yeah, thank you very much. I should say thank you very much for having me. The advice I would give is when I say goal setting in finance, in financial terms, goal setting is budgeting. Um, and you're right. We don't have to be so frugal that we lose sight of the beauty of living and lose sight of the ability just to enjoy life. But
Yeah.
you see, I learned a principle I use in my life is when I identify where I want to get to, I get a mentor in that area. And when it
Oh,
comes to
yeah.
finance, I've been blessed to know I have a lady who has hundreds of millions in assets where I live, and I talk to her, I pass my financial decisions across her. I've learned from her. When I got to know her, I was shocked at how very I would even say frugal she lives. Then I realized she lives a very expensive life. The difference is if she wants to buy it, she saves enough. She doesn't buy it out of an impulse or an imagination that she could die tomorrow. She's a Christian lady. She trusts God that God has given her will give her long life. And so she budgets. The word is budget. When you budget, you'll be excited because you know you have $50 to go buy this item. But then you know that you're not using your credit card. You're not just buying out of your emotions because it is something that has been planned from the beginning of the month. So the one word I would like to leave without talking so much is budgeting. Budget and you see the impact. You see the impact of budgeting. You have the joy while learning the ability to save. And one thing I would like to add finally is saving is not just enough in the scriptures, because he who saved his talent did not receive a reward. It is investment. We'll talk more about that someday later.
All right. I think
Thank
I would
you.
like to have you one more time. In fact,
Yeah.
not just one more time, because there are so many things I would still want us to talk about on this platform. You talked about mentorship. We've talked about finances and budgeting. Yeah, it's still part of finances. So those are the things I would still want you to come back on this platform and educate us on. So thank you so much.